Thursday morning, 7:14 a.m. By Thursday, Ethan Rowe stopped expecting the world to correct itself. The panic from Tuesday had burned out. The confusion from Wednesday had settled into something quieter. Understanding Ethan sat on the edge of a concrete planter near the library, watching people move past him without slowing. They tapped cards, they scanned phones. They unlocked doors that recognized them instantly. Every confirmation was automatic. Every identity reinforced, except his. Ethan no longer tested systems. He already knew the outcome. He had learned the difference between rejection and absence. Systems rejected errors. They ignored what had already been resolved. At 7:29 a.m., Ethan opened his notebook. He had found it in the bottom of his backpack the night before, an old habit from contract work. Paper didn't require permission. He wrote one word at the top of the page. Why, the answer wasn't in the bank. It wasn't in HR. It wasn't in Claire's apartment. It was in the file. 3 months earlier, the job had looked ordinary. A subcontract, short-term, low visibility. The kind of work companies use to clean their edges. Outdated archives, redundant records, forgotten data. Ethan remembered the first day. Clearly, the temporary badge, the generic workstation, the access that expired automatically. He remembered thinking how little trust was involved. No one cared who did the work, only that it disappeared when finished. The folder had been easy to miss. Its name didn't match its contents. Its location didn't match its permissions. A mistake at first glance. But mistakes didn't resist deletion. Ethan had selected the file and pressed delete. Nothing happened. He tried again. A small prompt flashed. Too fast to read. Gone before he could react, the file remained. That was the moment his attention sharpened. Not alarm, not fear. Professional instinct. He opened the file. It wasn't dramatic. No gunshots. No blood. No obvious crime. Just numbers. Names. Transfers. Small movements over long periods. Invisible theft. Invisible power. Ethan had stared at the screen, trying to decide what, exactly, he was looking at. The data didn't announce itself. It accumulated. Each entry harmless on its own. Together, unmistakable. Money that moved without triggering alarms. Assets that changed hands without public trace. Influence that never appeared on reports. This wasn't corruption in the dramatic sense. It was optimization. At the bottom of the file was a single line. If accessed, initiate contingency. Ethan remembered the stillness that followed. The way the office noise seemed to fade. The way his breathing sounded too loud. He read the line again. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a warning. It was an instruction. Ethan hadn't reported the file. He hadn't copied it. Hadn't photographed the screen. Hadn't emailed anyone. He closed the file, logged out, returned his badge. He went home and made dinner. He thought that was enough. By Thursday, he knew how wrong that assumption had been. The contingency hadn't needed escalation. It hadn't needed human approval. It had already been designed. At 8:03 a.m., Ethan flipped the notebook page. He wrote another word. Scope. They hadn't killed him. They hadn't arrested him, or threatened him, or warned him. They had done something quieter. They had removed him from systems that mattered, from databases, from records, from institutional memory, from the future. Ethan was still alive, but unsupported. A man without gravity. He tested the idea mentally. Without records, you couldn't rent. You couldn't work. You couldn't travel. You couldn't prove harm. You couldn't accumulate history. You could exist, but only temporarily. At 8:41 a.m., Ethan realized the precision of it. No overreach, no spectacle. Just enough removal to make persistence unsustainable. Weeks passed, then months. Ethan remembered that part clearly now, because it surprised him. No one came looking for him. No investigators, no agents, no quiet men in dark cars, because no one could. There was nothing left to monitor. No transactions, no location pings, no records to flag. That was when the final truth surfaced. They hadn't erased him to punish him. They erased him to protect themselves. The system hadn't failed. It had succeeded. Somewhere, deep inside a secured server, his file still existed, marked, resolved, do not revisit. But Ethan knew systems updated, logs resurfaced, backups reindexed. Old data collided with new contexts. Somewhere, late at night, a record could flicker. And a man who didn't exist could watch the world that forgot him. Not angry, not afraid, just aware, and deciding whether to remind it.